Brush styling. Can you get stronger curls and curls that last longer when you form curls with a brush? That's what I've been experimenting with lately. Over the years, I have repeatedly said for curlies not to use brushes, and that is to prevent damage. And I mostly stand true to that. However, I've changed my tune a little bit because a brush can definitely aid in making curlier curls, but you still want to do it carefully and properly. And that means on wet, conditioned hair, and sometimes even with the aid of a styling product. The goal here is that your hair will flow through the brush without any friction. It's very slippery, and so that you don't get any tearing or damage. Part of why brush styling works so well, I have found, is because when you're running a brush through your hair with a little bit of tension, not a lot, and then the hair is released from the brush, it will spring back with stronger curls. You don't want to apply too much tension that you pull hairs out of your scalp. Just enough tension so that the hair will spring back. And what kind of curls are we talking about? Well, it varies from person to person. On me, we're talking about more springy ringlets. This is definitely a different kind of curls than I've had before in the past when not using brush styling. However, if you're experiencing lots of hair loss, you might not want to brush style, at least while you're in a period of heavy loss, just so you don't encourage more hairs to come out of your scalp. Since I've got them up in front of me, these are my favorite brushes. It's the Scrunch It brushes, and I've got a link for you with this video. I've actually experimented with a lot of brushes recently, trying to find what works the best for me, but also seeing what could I recommend to others. And there is a particular brand of brush that has risen to the top, and that's the Scrunch It brush. What makes these so special? Well, I think it's mostly to do with they were designed for curly hair rather than brushes that are repurposed for curly hair that curly girls can make work on their hair. There's some features in here that work really well. A couple of them are this thinner and tapered handle, where if you're creating individual curls around it, you can actually create the curls all the way up to your scalp because the point of this brush tips, as opposed to a brush where the handle doesn't come to a point, and so this very top of your curl, right near the roots, you can't wrap it around tightly, so you can have less curly hair just right there. And there are other features, so you can use this to section your hair. These bristles work so much better for me in particular than other brushes to give me just that little bit of tension I need so that the hair will spring back. Whereas all these brushes, my hair just slips right through and I have to tug hard or hold tight, applying more tension than I would like to get the kind of tension that I would need for the curls to spring back. Those are a few reasons why I like the Scrunch It brush best, and I'm going to show you how to work it in this video. I'm holding two Scrunch It brushes, one for creating large curl clumps and another for creating smaller curl clumps. Curl clumps. Here's a curl clump. So it's how many individual hairs form your clump of curls. If you have curly hair, you have clumps like this all over your head. And everyone is different with what looks best on them. And it could be a mixture of the two or kind of in between. But I think if you do experiment, you'll find that you have a preference for what looks best on you. And there are downsides to either one. For instance, if you're making large curl clumps, there's more hairs going to be clumped together, so there could be a loss of volume. On me, where I'm trying to preserve as much volume as I can because my individual hairs are fine and I don't have a ton of them, I don't really want to lose that much volume to have big curl clumps. And now here is the small curl clumps brush. This brush is pretty cool because you brush your hair out with the denser bristles, but as you're brushing your hair out, you then rotate so your hair will go through these wider spaced combs, and that splits your hair up into smaller clumps. This brush, the larger clumps brush, you're brushing your hair out and there's nothing to split them up into smaller pieces. So can you see how that works? And so when you're using the smaller clumps brush, this is well suited to people who want more volume because you're splitting the hair up into smaller pieces. It is going to take up more space. You're going to get volume. And the potential downside with this brush is these curl clumps could be too small for you, so you end up looking on the stringy side. So you're going to have to play with these to figure out which look you prefer. And I personally have played with both. With this brush, I do get beautiful ringlets, but I lose a lot of volume. With this brush, the clumps are broken up more, so I don't have quite as much curl definition, but I still get more than when I don't brush style, but I do preserve more volume. So this brush for me is my favorite, but I can make both of these work. A lot of people are using like a Denman brush to make smaller curl clumps. And the Denman brush, you can actually remove rows so that they're not quite so tiny, your curl clumps. And I have removed 3 rows here because as is with this brush, my hair gets broken up into such small curl clumps, I just look stringy all over. Then I removed the 3 rows. It was better, but this brush was better, even so. So this brush for me, the Scrunch It Small Clumps brush, actually gives me small curl clumps where I don't look stringy and I preserve volume and I still get more curl definition. Not to say my journey is going to be the same for everyone, but if you can learn a little bit from my experience, then that makes me happy. And if you want to check out the Scrunch It brush or brushes, they do have a bundle. I'll include a link with this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I brush style with this brush, the smaller curl clumps brush from Scrunch It. There are actually 4 ways I use this brush. One is simply to use the denser bristles to help distribute product through my hair, conditioner, gel, etc., just so it's evenly distributed through my hair and I don't have any spots where I have a little bit more product or spots where I don't have any product. Leaving that one aside, then we have 3 ways that you can brush style with this brush. You can use the handle and wrap your hairs around it. And I do that quite a bit right around my face, especially on this side, because on this side, these curls just are not as strong and they can just end up looking way less defined. On this side, I don't have to do it as much. They do tend to create ringlets without a lot of help. And I and others do use the handle of this brush to create individual ringlets all around on the top layer of hair, just to give more ringlets where it's most visible. Then the last 2 ways, and how do you actually create, in a fairly quick way, the rest of the curls on your head. So I'm going to show you the longer of those ways today. It is more involved. However, the benefit is you get stronger curls, better long-lasting curl definition, even though you have to put in a bit more time. For me, that equates to 2 full days where I don't have to fix my hair again. Even overnight sleeping, though I do need to sleep in a bonnet, which reduces friction even more than sleeping on a silk pillowcase, because the bonnet means I'm not rubbing my hair on anything. I'm also not stretching out my curls because they're kind of all piled up on top of my head. So a bonnet is key, and with that and the method I'm going to show you today, I don't have to fix my hair for 2 full days. The other method is quicker, however the curl definition might not be as strong. It might be for you. I don't tend to have as strong of curls, so for me the other way, which I will show you in another video, is not quite as effective for me. But they're both great because you get curlier curls, stronger curls, and more long-lasting curls than if you just scrunched. Keep in mind, my hair is fine, meaning my strands are the thinnest they could almost be. It's also high porosity, so I have to balance between using lightweight and not too heavy of products to preserve the volume while using products that will help me maintain and hold as much curl as I possibly can. And this is definitely a balancing act. So maybe you, like me, every day is different. This happens to be a pretty good hair day for me, pretty good results, but other days it doesn't turn out quite as good. Here's how I brush style with this brush. So in addition to shampoo and conditioner that are volumizing, but also hydrating, my styling products are lightweight. My curl cream is lightweight, my gel is lightweight. However, for brush styling, you do want to have a medium to strong hold gel in order to get and keep the curl definition. So I have found a gel that is both lightweight and a strong hold. And if you'd like information about that, just contact me because I'm not going to go into details about that here, but I am featuring it in this routine and I think it's key part, in addition to the right shampoo and conditioner for my hair type, it is a key part of me getting more ringlets that last for at least 2 days. Okay, so to start, I wash and condition with volumizing shampoo and conditioner, and while I'm still in the shower, I apply lightweight curl cream as well as my lightweight but strong hold gel throughout all my hair. I do this when my hair is quite wet, so the water will help dilute the products through and it doesn't end up too heavy. And I do use one of my brushes to help distribute the gel and curl cream throughout, just so it gets everywhere, nowhere too heavy and nowhere where it's lacking. But again, I use just a bit, especially of the curl cream, because while I do need the moisturizing, my hair is high porosity, it can't be too heavy to weigh down my hair. Then I get out of the shower, my hair is wrapped up in my t-shirt towel, and I get dressed, do some other things, and now it's time to do the brush styling. Then I take the towel off and I section my hair. I'm going to work in 3 sections, but you may need more sections or you may need less. I'm going to start with the back third of my hair, and then I'm going to clip the rest of it, the other 2/3, on top of my head out of the way. And remember, you can use the pointed end of your scrunchie brush to help make those sections. For the hair that's out, the bottom third, I do split it in half and I bring each half toward the front so that I can access each section. Starting on one side, I spray it down to get it more wet because it has dried when it's in the towel. Then I put a dollop, just a tiny dollop of gel in my palm along with a tiny bit of curl cream and a spritz of water. I rub it between my hands and then I rake it through my hair, that section that I've just dampened, to get it well distributed throughout, and I even take the brush to help brush it throughout. So now it's quite wet and it has a little bit more product. Then, working in horizontal slices in that section, I use the scrunchie brush and I brush the hair with the thick bristled side, and I brush up and out with some tension. And as I'm brushing it up and out, I'm also rotating the brush so that the combs will then separate the hair into smaller clumps as the brush goes out of the hair and the hair is released. Then I scrunch up the hair that I just brushed to start encouraging that curl to spring up even more. Here's where it gets a little bit awkward, because where do you put that hair that you just brush styled and scrunched when you're working on the next section? So this is something that you will get better at as you try. But I just move it to one side and then I grab the next horizontal slice of the section I'm working on and do the same thing. So brush it up and out with the dense bristles of the scrunchie brush, rotate the brush so that the hair can get broken up by going through the comb, release, the hair springs back, I scrunch it, and then I move on to the next horizontal slice of that section until that section is done. Then I put a little bit more gel in my hands along with a spritz or 2 of water, rub between my palms, and then I'm scrunching in more gel to that section that's just been brush styled. I'm also smoothing the gel gently over the curls to just smooth down and hold down any frizzies that want to spring up. Then I repeat everything I just did on the other side, dampening, applying gel and curl cream throughout, brushing that in well, then taking horizontal slices, brushing up and out, also rotating the brush so the hair can go through the comb section and be split up into individual smaller clumps, then scrunching and also applying more gel on top, scrunching and smoothing. I want to make a note here about why it's so important, I think, to use this brush in horizontal slices or sections. If you look at videos of other ladies doing brush styling, they do a variety of techniques. Feel free to try them to see what works best for you. The reason that I prefer to brush horizontally up and out is so that the resulting curls will go the natural direction they want to go. Other ladies are brush styling in vertical slices, which means that you either have to curl it forward or you have to curl it back. And everybody has different curls around their head. Some want to go forward, some want to go back. And while you can probably know the natural tendency of your hair, I think it's possible to get it wrong sometimes because maybe you have a mixture of directions in that one clump you're working with. Some of them want to go one direction, some of them want to go another direction. And it is true that when hairs curl in their natural direction, it is stronger. And when they go the other way, it is weaker. So if you instead brush up and out horizontally, when you release the hair is going to spring back either forward or back, whichever way it prefers. So brushing horizontally ensures that your hair is going to be as curly as possible because you're not forcing it one way or the other. But you do you. Try all the different methods. See what gives you the best result. What you're going to run into as you're doing this, it's going to feel really awkward at first. It did for me. In fact, I'm still learning ways to do it better. But what you're going to run into is you're going to have sections that you have brush styled and you're going to be moving on to sections that you haven't. And it's like, how do you know which is which? And you're going to end up brushing sections you've already done and getting them tangled up. So there's an easy solution. It's to take the section that you've already done, which in this case is my back third, and get a lightweight hair clip. So this is one that's specifically for clipping the roots for more volume, and it is so wimpy compared to the one that I use to hold the hair on top of my head. This is heavier. This is so lightweight I almost can't feel it. So I use this clip to gather all the hairs that I've brush styled and just clip them back out of the way. Don't worry about it stretching out the curl. Your hair is still wet enough and we will scrunch it again when this comes out. It's just most important right now to get those hairs out of the way so you don't redo them or they don't get tangled up with the new sections you're going to do. Okay, so now moving on, I'm going to release the clip that's holding 2/3 of my hair on top, and I'm going to section out the middle section and then clip the front section back up on top and out of the way. The middle section needs to be split in half again so I can work either side, and I'm going to repeat the same process: dampening, applying more gel and curl cream, brushing that through, then creating horizontal slices and using the brush to brush style so the curls and the clumps will spring back, and then at the end adding more gel just to smooth down frizzies and just apply a little bit more hold to those curl clumps while scrunching. And now you want to take these hairs from the middle section and add them to the clip at the back to keep them out of the way before moving on to the front section. So unclip the hair that's been clipped up there at top, and this is where your part is. And here I do tend to use the pointy end of the brush and or my fingers to make my part where I want it to be. And normally my part is slightly right of center. That's where my hair naturally wants to part after all these years. Occasionally I'll do it slightly left of center and I get more volume that way because the hair is not used to going that way, but this time I just do slightly right of center and split up this section that way. Clip one side up and away, and then on one side of the front section you're going to repeat the same thing over again. Dampening, applying gel and curl cream, brushing it through, separating out horizontal slices, using the brush to brush up and out, scrunching those hairs and clumps that have been released, and at the end applying more gel just to smooth down frizzies and apply a bit more hold as you scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. Repeat on the other side the same exact thing. Now at this point I've brush styled my entire head. Now I release all the hair that's been clipped away. And now it's time for more scrunching. And make sure I either have water and or gel in my hands, so not dry hands, because that will introduce frizz. And I just want to scrunch all over my head from side to side and the back to just encourage as much curl as possible. And around my face, I may take the handle of the scrunch it brush and create nicer curls framing my face. And again, this side tends to be great nearly every time, but on my left side, I'm often taking a section right here, and this area wants to curl to the front, which I know for sure. And so I'm just creating one or two curls just to make sure that they create ringlets instead of, turn out funky. And sometimes I'll take the time and do more around the top too. And then to speed up the drying time, now I can take my t-shirt towel and scrunch a bit more to take out some excess water that's in the hair. Now, this is not rubbing scrunching, this is just scrunching without any agitation, because remember, we don't want to introduce frizz. And your best way to avoid that with a towel is to use a t-shirt towel because it's very smooth, but you also want to avoid any movement and just scrunch without rubbing. And now it's time to diffuse. When I diffuse, my two main goals are curl definition and volume. It's tough for me to get volume because of my neck issues. I can't put my head upside down like I used to, but I have made a video recently sharing my neck safe diffusing routine that encourages volume, so be sure to check that out. I'm not going to show you much of my diffusing here because I've already gone into it. Look for a link to that video with this one. But one thing I am going to add is that once I've hover diffused at the roots and I've got the root area somewhat dry, then I do use this very lightweight kind of wimpy clip. I'll go on either side of my part along the top of my head with 2 or 3 clips, and I will bring the roots up like this. So this is usually about 5 minutes into diffusing because this clip will not stay in my hair if it's wet. My hair has to be somewhat dried and fluffed up because it's so fine. So it has to be dry enough for the clip to hold. And so I'll do 1, 2, maybe 3, but the third one sometimes just won't stay in either and it falls to the side, which is pointless. So as long as I can get a good lift, I'll use as many clips as possible, which is usually only 2, and leave these in for the duration of the diffusing. Only diffuse until my hair is about 80 to 90% dry. If I dry it all the way, I end up getting more frizz, and I already have to put up with some frizz because my hair is fine and I have to err on the side of less product rather than more. I keep repeating myself, but it's always a balancing act. So I'll walk around for another hour or 2 while my hair is finishing drying. I'll put on makeup, I'll do some work, I will make breakfast and eat breakfast. And what I'm really trying to do is to let the curls set. I leave the cast on from the gel. It's quite strong at this point because it is a stronghold gel and I haven't softened it yet by scrunching it out. And the longer I can leave that cast in, the longer I'm going to have curl definition and strong curls, which currently for me is at least 2 days with this routine. And then if I need need to create a video or get on a meeting or something like that, it's usually 3 to 4 hours later, then I am scrunching the cast out. And I've shown you how to do that in other videos, and it just softens the cast and leaves the hair with volume, but still curl definition. So here I am. This is 4 hours later after doing the routine that I just showed you. And like I said, this was the most involved way to brush style. It takes me 10 to 20 minutes to brush style everything, and I'm still getting used to this routine, and I think I'll get faster as time goes by, but it does take me 10 to 20 minutes to create the curl clumps, and then another 10 to 15 minutes to diffuse my hair. What I found is if I put in the time up front, my curls are curlier and the curls are stronger and last longer. So the next day, I really don't have to do anything to my hair. As long as I sleep in a bonnet, it will come out in the morning and it'll be curly and soft and still shiny, not stretched out, curls still defined. So I don't have to spend any time the next day. So it's like an investment of time up front so that the style will last longer. And people with stronger curls and not so fine of hair, I know they can go 4 or 5 days without having to do much to their hair. Now, at about the 3rd or 4th day, there are some refreshing things that come in where they're applying moisture and or water just to help spring those curls back and put any frizz down. But their curls do last longer. So if I had different hair, I think I could really do a lot with this routine. But my hair is what it is. And for me to have 2 full days, curlier curls, and not having to fix my hair, I think that's pretty good. I'm thankful for it. I'm eager to see your results if you give brush styling a try. And if you don't have any brushes and you're looking for one, I would suggest starting with the Scrunch It brush just because it's really the best in my opinion. And they do have both the large and the small clumps. You can get them as a bundle or you can buy them individually based on what you think would be best. I'll include a link to these with this video. And if you do decide to try it, I just want to encourage you to give it time. I've been experimenting with this for 2 to 3 or more months, and sometimes it feels awkward and sometimes I'm like, well, that wasn't worth it. I spent all that time and my hair wasn't any better than if I just scrunched it. But lately I've been getting into the groove and I'm having hairstyles that last longer and have curlier curls than I did before. So I'm finding that it's worth the time now. So be willing to give it time and also understand that it will feel awkward. Sometimes it still feels awkward for me. I'm like, what angle, but it's going to feel awkward and that will get less as time goes by. Your efficiency will improve and you will feel more competent using the brush to create the clumps. It just will feel awkward. So know that going in, be willing to do it a few times before you decide whether it's worth it or not, because I can almost guarantee, unless you have those strong curls that a lot of ladies have on different channels where they're, I'm going to get on video and I'm going to try the Denman brush and it looks fantastic. Well, a lot of us don't have strong curls like that and we don't get those results the first time. So be willing to give it a few times. Be willing to give it more than a few times to see whether it's really worth it. There is one thing I mentioned in this video, which is there's another way to brush style with this brush, and it's more of a wash and go style. So it takes less time, and I will show you that in a future video. Thanks for joining me. If you need any help with your curly routine, either routine tips, tricks, how-tos, or products that are non-toxic that suit your hair type and your goals, I'm just a text message or an email away. I'd love to help you out. Or if you'd like to see if working with me is even worth it, I have some quick questions you can answer at wardy.com/questions. It'll give you an idea if it's even a good fit for you, and then you can take it from there. God bless you. Bye-bye.